various ways in which we can classify retail outlets. So we will classify retail outlets based on form of ownership, and we have some information on the next page. We will classify retail outlets on the basis of method of operation, like brick and mortar versus online versus mail order, etc. Then there are two other ways in which we will classify retail outlets. The question is, or the question that should be crossing your mind is, why should we classify these retail outlets? Okay. Well, the reason we will classify retail outlets, the reason is the same as why we classified products into different types, like convenience goods, shopping goods, specialty goods, unsold goods. Because if we can classify them into different compartments, it'll be easier for us to develop marketing strategies, or to develop, in this case, retailing strategies. So we will look at retailing outlets in terms of form of ownership, in terms of method of operation. This is something that we will not discuss in the future, method of operation. So very, very quickly, as you can see, we have over here different ways in which retailers kind of operate in the marketplace or market space, if you will. So we have brick and mortar stores. So their retailing strategy is going to be different from, let's say, online stores or mail order stores. So there are still certain companies like L15 or, for example, Eddie Bauer. You can buy from them through mail order, but mail order is slowly sort of going out of fashion, and it's basically brick and mortar versus it is online. And as you know, that the strategies differ in terms of brick and mortar and online stores. Online basically has to do with, okay, how your website is going to look, how user friendly that website is, how interactive it is, whether, for example, you can demonstrate how it looks when you buy a particular jacket or a particular, let's say, shirt, for example, online. Brick and mortar store, of course, has to do with the ambience of the store, how well it is lighted, what kind of music you play, what kind of scent, for example, there is in the store, how exactly things are arranged in the store, and whether you can try these products or not, etc., etc., etc. Okay. So let's move forward and let's basically talk about these things one at a time. So here we go, folks. We're talking about stores in terms of form of ownership. So there are three major types of stores, retailers, in terms of form of ownership. So one is the independent retailer. These are your neighborhood stores. They just own their little kind of, what we call in certain parts of the world, like stationary stores, as very, very small groceries, for example, or independent tailor shop, for example, or independent laundromat, for example, or independent restaurant, for example. That's the one store that I have, and that is it. So independent stores, these are owned by individuals, like local restaurants, furniture stores, etc. Then you have these corporate chains. So here we're talking about basically, stores that are under common corporate ownerships. Like in this country, for example, Sears, which is sort of gone out, or has sort of gone out of business. Walmart would fit in there. Target, for example, JCPenney's, Neiman Marcus. If you look at your stores, for India, for example, what are some of these corporate chains? Shopper Stop, I think that was one name that comes to mind. There could be other, big such corporate chains, for example. D-Mart, I have no idea what D-Mart is. I haven't heard of that. Okay, Big Bazaar is another one. Okay, I don't know what you have in China, for example, or in Nigeria, or in Iran, for example. So, from Nakumatt is in Kenya. Is it in India now? Somebody mentioned Nakumat, Nakumat. That's a Kenyan. Yeah, that's in Kenya. So do you know the history behind that name? For those of you that are from Kenya, Nakumat. Speaking of retailers, not really. Who are you from? Kenya, Purvi? So you should know this. This is your big Kenyan store. Anybody else from Kenya? So Akhtar, do you know what Nakumat, the story behind the name? See, okay, good. Not good. Actually, it is not good. So Nakumat, okay, can you type that again, somebody, the name? Okay, see the mat, the MAT actually stands for mattress, and this Naku is basically, this is the town of Nakuru, I think, okay? So that's where, I think it's an Indian-owned corporate chain. They started the first store, basically, selling mattresses in the town or the city of Nakuru in Kenya. So that's how it became Nakumat. Okay, so for example, if you start selling mattress in Calcutta, you might name it like Calmat. So that's how the name evolved. Okay, so those are examples of corporate chains. And then you have this franchise. Okay, so Ipu, I don't know if you're from Chittagong, so it would be like if you have that mattress shop in Chittagong, it might be Chittamat. I don't know. I mean, sometimes the retailing names can be kind of funny. Okay, anyways, so we have franchise. So let's look at, I think we have franchise on the next slide. So let's look at franchise. Yes, Sigma must be from Chittagong. She loves it. Okay, so let's move forward and let's talk about franchising. All right. Hold on. All right. So franchising is basically, it's a setup. It's a setup where an individual or a firm has a contract with the parent company to set up a business. An individual or a firm has a contract with a parent company to set up a business. All right, so in a franchise domain, you have two players. One is the franchisee, as in SEE, okay? And the other is franchisor, as in SOR, franchisor, which is on the next page, okay? So let's talk about McDonald's, or McJoe's, as we call it these days, okay? Franchisee is, let's say, me, who is getting a McDonald's store in this part of the town. Franchisor is the McDonald's corporation, okay? So franchisee is the individual store owner, and franchisor is the corporate owner, McDonald's. Is that clear, who a franchisee is? Okay.
Yes,
all right,
bro.
good. Sorry, Sandra?
Yeah, I was saying yes, it's clear.
Okay, good. One yes is good. Okay. So here are the benefits for a franchisee. So I have got the McDonald's franchise or a Subway franchise. They are going to train me. So I don't have to learn these things from scratch, okay, or on my own. Then you have basically the concept of quick brand recognition. And this is, I think, the most important benefit from a franchisee's point of view, quick brand recognition. So for example, Sandra decides to get into fast food business. So Sandra is thinking of either getting a McDonald's or starting a store or shop or a restaurant of her own, and to call it Sandra's Burgers. Okay, so McDonald's, that's one choice. Sandra's Burgers on one, that's another choice. What's going to happen in this case? It is going to be a lot more challenging for Sandra to create a brand reputation when she's using a name which is unknown, which is not recognized in the marketplace. But if she goes with McDonald's, for example, goes for a franchise, everybody knows what McDonald's, that stands for, and essentially there's no need to spend money on creating brand recognition. Questions? Now, sometimes though, individual, yes, Suman.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, this is Suman. Sir, this can also be a bane, like if the brand is being negative, if there's a negative publicity surrounding the brand.
Yeah, if you have a brand crisis, you can have a problem, and maybe you had no part to play in that brand crisis, but it affects you. Yes. Because all of a sudden there's a recall on, let's say, the chicken patties that McDonald's is is supplying. So it might have happened
Yes,
in
sir.
Toronto, for example. Nothing has happened in the Windsor area, but then you get affected. Absolutely, yes. But if you're a
All right.
name by yourself, you might be sort of isolated till that brand crisis hits you, your unit, your store.
Yes.
So brand crisis
Yes.
is a headache, is a problem in any in any sense. Okay. So brand crisis could
Yes.
be a could affect you either way, but then it has to affect you directly if you have an individual store, or it'll affect you indirectly when it is basically a franchise. Okay. All right. So let me
Yes, sir.
finish. Hold on. So the other thing that I was going to say before I forget is that sometimes the individual names, if they're interesting names, can make a difference. So I was in Edinburgh, Scotland, and we're walking around, and there was this local sandwich place or hamburger place, and it's Edinburgh. So he named it. This guy that was selling the sandwiches, he named his shop Edinburgher. Okay, so you see, this is a very very cute name, if you will. So Edinburgh, you're in Edinburgh, and that is a name that you will never forget if you have been to Edinburgh and you have seen that store, for example. And in Edinburgh, he has to do nothing to create basically a name recognition, because people know the name Edinburgh. That's where they are at, and they know burger, so Edinburgh. Okay. Now, Quinton had a question, but before that, let me quickly answer Darius' question, which is it market development? Well, it is not market development, but you can develop a market through franchising. So I can get into Nigeria, for example, and I can develop the Lagos market through the franchising process. Quinton, what was your question?
Good morning, sir. So my question was that is now as you gave an example of somebody owning McDonald's. So if Sandra has her own product, can she even display it, or can she even sell it through using that same title apart from the McDonald's product?
No, no. If it's a franchise, there are regulations and restrictions. You cannot just sell anything and everything.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, you cannot sell, some dish saying Sandra's grandma's recipe. McDonald's won't let you do that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, but what McDonald's carries differ, that differs across various parts of the world, various parts of, let's say, a country, for example. In India, in certain parts, they might have purely vegetarian McDonald's restaurants. In certain
Okay.
parts, they won't have vegetarian restaurants. Then in India, they might not be serving beef, whereas, in France, they might be serving horse meat. So it all depends on what people eat where.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess here they serve everything from beef to pork to chicken to everything. So, yeah. Okay. So the other advantages of being a franchise is that you have lower prices, because things are bought at the corporate level in bulk, and corporations will also give you financial assistance, for example, to run your shop or store or restaurant, and of course they will help you in terms of promotional aid. So this is actually a benefit that goes in both directions. For example, basically you contribute towards the promotional basket, if you will, and you contribute, the corporate headquarters will contribute, and so these are all joint promotions to a large extent. Okay, which brings us to the next slide. Tavima, do you have a question? Quick question.
Yes, sir. Sir, what does it mean by lower price?
Lower price means when you buy in bulk, you get lower prices. So if you go, for example, and buy, okay, let's say potatoes to make French fries, by the truckloads, that you're going to get a wholesale price or better than a wholesale price compared to what you would individually pay from the local market.
Oh, sir. So by franchising, I would get lower price.
Yes, because you're not buying it yourself. It's corporate headquarters is buying for all the restaurants in your area. So when one restaurant buys its product, and it'll buy in sort of bulk, let's say 10 kilos of Hilsa fish. You with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I cannot hear you. I can barely hear you. So you're buying 10 kilos of Hilsa fish every day for your restaurant. But if you have a franchise and I'm the franchisor for all the 100 restaurants in your area, I'm buying actually, maybe you know, 50,000 kilos. or 100,000 kilos of the same fish, right? So I'm going to get a better price because I'm buying in that kind of bulk.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Hadja, you had a question which was basically what do they look for when they give franchises? Is that what your question was?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the answer is you have to actually go into their websites and they specify exactly what they're looking for because I know I cannot answer this question directly because each franchisor has its own requirements. So McDonald's might have a list of things that you have to boxes you have to check. A Subway might have a different I guess list, for example, for listing all the criteria. Burger King might have a different separate list, for example. So you have to kind of go to each I guess website and find out. Or the example that I used in class, 1-800 got junk. If you want to basically get into that business, you have to go to their website and see. It's all very clearly specified on the websites. Okay, all right. And you might have even local franchise options in Pakistan, for example, and they have their websites and they'll clearly tell you what the requirements are to be able to be a franchisee for that franchisor. Okay. From a franchisor's point of view, this is McDonald's corporate headquarters. There are certain benefits. They can expand faster at a faster rate because now there are other people that are involved in the expansion process. This is something that I talked before. Promotional savings. It's let's say 50-50 or whatever the I guess contract says. Okay. Motivated franchisees, when you get into business as individuals and you have a McDonald's franchise or a Subway franchise, you really want to kind of do well, work hard, succeed. So that helps as opposed to a corporate employee who's like, I'm getting a paycheck at the end of the month, so life is good. So maybe they're not as motivated, for example. And of course, each franchisee maintains its paperwork, its record. So you at the corporate headquarters or the regional headquarters or the local headquarters, you do not have to worry about these kinds of things. So those are the benefits from a franchisor's point of view. Questions? Wonderful. Let's move
Sir,
forward. Yes.
this is Molek. So
Yep.
how the promotional savings affect to the franchisor? As in previous slides, so we have seen that the financial assistance and the promotional aid is generally given by franchisor to the franchisee.
No, it's that's when I said you probably missed it. I said it's basically it cuts both ways. They both benefit. So let's say you need $100 to run a particular promotion. You with me?
Yes, yes, sir.
The franchisor pays $50. The
Mm-hmm.
franchisee pays $50.
Okay, okay, got it, sir.
So each will benefit from the process. They're not having to spend $100 out of their own pocket.
Okay, sir, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Now it is not always 50-50. It's all in the contract. Like Hajar asked me, what are the requirements? So it's different, I guess, franchisor, different rules, regulations, whatever it is.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Very good. Let's move forward.
Hello,
Yes, you
sir.
believe
Sir,
you believe it. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Sir, can you explain the management training again in franchisee?
Yeah, management training means let's say you basically have opted for a McDonald's franchise in Bangladesh. What city are you in?
Sir, Chittagong.
Chittagong. Okay. You basically have applied for McDonald's franchise in Chittagong, and McDonald's, they look at your resources and they're happy. They said yes to you. Okay.
Okay.
Now let's say they tell you go run your store. Can you run the store?
No.
No. So they have to give you training how to manage the store, right? So each store
Oh,
has a manager, has an assistant manager, then they have all these people that are working under them. So when we talk about management training, it's basically they train you how to manage the store, how to run the store.
oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Dare, what was your question?
Hello, sir. I was just
Yeah.
saying, I still don't understand the under the benefits of the franchise, so I don't understand what you mean by motivated franchisees. Like, how is that an advantage to the franchisor?
Okay, so you're the McDonald's, right?
Yes.
You have two options. You can have me as a franchisee, okay, or have me as one of your employees.
Okay.
And essentially, as an employee, you're paying me $80,000.
Okay.
Okay. As an employee, for $80,000, I'm just going and working for you. I know if I do the minimum amount of work, I'll get my $80,000.
Yes.
But if you own your own store as a franchisee, what happens? If you are not motivated, if you don't work hard, the store will go down the drain. You're going to lose everything, your initial investment. So you're likely to work harder. And what happens when you work harder? Not only you'll make $80,000, you'll make $120,000. And what happens when the store sales go up and you make more money? McDonald's as a franchisor makes money. So focus on the word motivated. If you have your own business, you're more likely to be motivated to work even harder to make even more money. Not only you benefit, I mean, the franchisor benefits because they get a certain cut out of the total sales of the store.
Okay, sir, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, it's doing more work as opposed to the minimum amount of work that is needed to be done. That's the idea.
All right, sir.
All right. Yeah. So as we will see in the context of personal selling, you can hire a salesperson and you can pay this salesperson a monthly salary, $5,000. Or you can tell the salesperson, look, I'll give you a monthly stipend of $2,500 and rest is commission. The more you sell, the more money you make. So if I am the salesperson and I know that if I work hard, I can actually make $10,000 a month, will I not be motivated to do that? The answer is yes. And if I'm not motivated, I'll basically be, I'll basically have $2,500, and after a few months, they're going to fire me. So that's the idea. Okay, let's move forward and let us look at what we have, retailer classification. So Sandra has her
Prof,
hand up.
as
Yeah.
a franchisee, can you be fired? Because
Yes.
it's more like it's your own shop, but you are using a franchiser's name.
You can be fired, yes. But it's a longer process because the franchisor has invested a lot into the franchisee. I mean, it's kind of like there's the exit cost is pretty steep.
Okay.
So it's kind of like when you're married.
Okay.
This relationship is a marriage between the franchisor and the franchisee. But in case of marriages, for example, they say in this part of the world, I mean, it's a lot easier to get divorced in the first 7 years of marriage than after that. Why is that the case?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Well, I mean, it's because, for example, after 7 years, you might have kids at a certain age, and then parents will fight over those kids. Secondly, after that period of time, you're beginning to make money, as a family. So finances become entangled. Initially, for example, you might be graduate students, and you don't have any money, so you go each other's way. There's no hassle over there. So the longer you stay together, the harder it is to kind of get away from each other. So it's kind of like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now you know, Sandra.
Thank you.
All right. So let's move forward and let's talk about level of service. When you look at retailer classification based on level of service, you have retailers that are basically self-service, okay? Then retailers that are limited service. So limited service basically would be over here. This is a Home Depot store, a hardware store where you go in and you pretty much do your stuff on your own. But if you need help, you can call them and they'll come and answer your question and help you get stuff, okay? Self-service would be one example is right here. I don't think you have this store in your countries. Do you? Amazon Go?
No, sir.
No. So what happens is there's nothing, there are no employees in the store. I mean, there's of course security people maybe watching from somewhere, but you go into these stores, you scan your card. You go into the store and then basically you pick up things from the aisles, from the shelves. You put them in the basket and basically you walk out of the store. Okay, so there's no, yeah, we do have in the US in they're doing this on a trial basis. So you go and you basically, the product that you buy, you kind of scan it and you're immediately billed. So sometimes what happens in a grocery store is after we have taken the product, put it in the cart, we put it back, we don't want it. So there is a mechanism through which you can put it back on the shelf and you get immediate credit. Okay, so it's completely self-service. There are, decide to live with a, try and see what happens. So if you decide to live with a pig, because when you get in, you cannot get in without getting your card scanned. You cannot get out without your card scanned, and then you're scanning these things. There are cameras, at least 3 cameras focusing on one point, so they know exactly who is picking up what product, and who is returning which product, and then it's all good. Okay, so for like a $20 grocery, you don't want to spend like the next 2-3 years in jail. It's not worth it. So just kind of go pay and go home and enjoy your food, if you will. Okay, so limited service, self-service, and then you have full service. Okay, so this is again, let me see here, limited service. This is also limited service. Okay, but full service is over here. So what store is this, Sandra?
I can't see the red.
You cannot see?
Yeah.
Okay, what about now?
I still can see.
Well, this is a jewelry
Probably
store.
Walmart or
Yeah, no, Walmart looks like this in what planet? Okay, so this is jewelry and watches. So I picked on you because you're married. So when you went to get your wedding ring or went to jewelry, whatever, I guarantee you went to a full service place. They asked you a lot of questions. They did the fittings, they showed you the design and all these things. So that's like full service. Okay. When you get a contractor to build your home, it's full service. From the planning stages to building stages. Huh?
I was looking at the wrong picture. Limited service.
Oh, you're looking at this picture?
Yes.
No, this picture. This picture. Okay. So that's full service. Now, Dare is confused about limited service. So, Dare, let me put it this way. If on one extreme you have self-service, it means what? What does that mean, Dare?
Hello, sir. I don't understand. You said I don't understand your question.
My question is, if on one hand we have self-service, what does it mean? Here I'm circling the word.
Like you're doing the old services like yourself. Like no one is assisting you with it.
No one is assisting you with anything inside the store. Even checkout, you just scan, check out, and go. Right?
Okay. All right. The
Now
limited.
in this no lines, no checkout, you don't even have to check out.
Oh, okay.
You just go and you're billed. Okay. So on one hand you have self-service, the other hand you have full service. What does this mean?
Like you have a list of people like working, like assisting you with your.
Yeah. So you go to your local tailor shop. They welcome you with some soft drinks and cookies, and they take your measurement, and basically they call you back for fitting, and then they refit you, and then basically it's all, they do everything. You don't have to do anything, right?
Yes, sir.
So if self-service is where you do everything, and full service is where they do everything, what would be limited service?
You both contribute to the service.
Yes. So you do some, they do some. So like when you go to a hardware shop, if you choose, you can do everything on your own. But then, there are so many detailed items that sometimes you need to ask questions. They'll come and help you find, it's the hardware shops in this country. It's amazing. I mean, I didn't even know that there were so many different types of screws and nuts and bolts and doorknobs that you see in the hardware stores over here. So if you seek help, they'll come and help you. So that's what limited service is.
Okay,
Questions?
so all right, so places like Walmart could fall under the category of limited service.
Yeah,
What
very
about
limited service, I guess. Yes.
okay.
Questions? Okay. So let's move forward and let's talk about retailer classification based on merchandise line. We talked about these things. All right, this might not be a good example for international students, but oftentimes we classify retailers based on the breadth of the line, that is, the variety of products that they carry and offer, and the depth of the line, which refers to the number of choices in a product line. So have you heard of this brand name?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Fossil. Yes. So if you go to a department store like Macy's in the US, they carry Fossil, but they carry other brands of watches, they carry clothing items, they carry all kinds of stuff. Department store, right? So the breadth of the line basically is they carry all kinds of products, but they don't carry a lot of Fossil products. You know, maybe they carry 2, 3, 4, 5 different Fossil brands. Okay. Whereas in the same mall in the US, sometimes right across from these department stores, there are these specialty stores. It says Fossil. And there, the depth of the line is tremendous. They sell all kinds of watches manufactured by Fossil. They sell all kinds of bags manufactured by Fossil. They sell all kinds of accessories manufactured by Fossil. So these are specialty type stores. So breadth of the line means all the variety of different types of products a store carries, versus depth of the line is the few products they carry, but in tremendous depth. So that's one way of also looking at retailers. Very simple. Okay, so now let's move forward and let's look at retailing strategy. Okay, it's, again, I wish I could use Zoom, but I cannot. So the punch is lost when I show you everything that's on the slide. Anyways, so I'm not very fond of this platform, if you will, because my lecture suffers. So here are two coffee tables. Can somebody tell me, what when you see these pictures, what are you thinking? Here's a coffee table. Here is another coffee table.
Sir, professional look and fancy look.
Professional look and fancy look. Okay, Jayati says right one is fascinating. So Jayati is in love with this coffee table. Correct, Jayati? Yes, good. Okay. So do you think these coffee tables will be sold from different types of stores? The answer is
Yes, sir.
yes. Okay. So these two coffee tables are very different. So you're saying this is professional look, but this is actually, people will say this is a very kind of regular looking coffee table. And this is a, kind of, I don't know if it's fancy or not, but this is a very different kind of a coffee table. Aesthetically, it's very different, very creative, if you will. You with me? Unique. So people, do you guys like this coffee table? Unusual, attractive, yes. Okay, so very good. So Suman doesn't like this coffee. Why do you not like it, Suman?
So it just looks like a piece of scrap wood that has been veneered and pasted on legs. So
Pasted on legs.
it's
Yeah, I
not
mean it's basically,
it's not
it's
being
actually not
useful.
veneered. It is solid wood.
Yes, it just
So
looks.
Daria doesn't.
I don't know,
It
sir.
is solid, huh? It's actually a tree which has been cut horizontally. And of course, yeah, it's been put on legs. Daria says it doesn't look fancy to me. Okay, it's very interesting. So the point is, I guess they'll be sold through different stores. Okay, which one do you think costs more? The one on the right. Okay, good. All right. So let me go back to the picture. So now I want you to look at other things in the picture besides the coffee table. What else do you see? You see a sofa, right, or a chair, a man sitting. So Dare sees a man sitting over there. Do you guys see that man sitting? Okay, good. So who could that man be?
Sid, is that you? Is that your
It's you.
table?
Okay, so I want you to look at. Okay, oops. Okay, hold on. Stop texting just a minute. I need to get to my slide. Okay, I think I lost. So you see this watch? You
Yeah.
see this?
Yeah.
Is it kind of blue?
Yes.
Okay, you see this watch? Is it kind of blue? So that's me. Okay. So yeah, so actually, I ended up buying this table that Suman and Dare do not like, and it's sitting in one of my living rooms. So, if you want to see the picture of the living room, I can share that with you later on. But yeah, so basically the thing is, when you look at these types of products, actually they are sold through different types of stores. So retailing strategy. So the first regular coffee table that you saw was used to be sold through like Art Van Furniture. Now they're out of business. It's a regular kind of store, middle of the line furniture, from low to middle level prices. But then the other coffee table, the fancy one, basically is sold at a place called Arhaus. It's a German word, Arhaus, and they sell all kinds of very unusual stuff. Okay, and so you have to decide as a retailer, basically, if you sell regular products, how your store is going to look like. If you sell fancy stuff, how your store is going to look like. So those are, I guess, things that you have to decide on. So that is what we mean by positioning an image. How do you want to position your retail store? What kind of image do you want to project? So, for example, Apple stores, if you look at them, they're positioned in a certain way. The way the Apple stores look, it basically projects a certain kind of an image. Louis Vuitton stores, they project a certain kind of an image. Walmart, they are big bazaar. It's bazaar. I mean, it's like a zoo. That's the image they want to maintain. Good, more power, more power to these people. But that is what we are talking about when we talk about positioning an image when it comes to retailing. So let us look at some examples. So here we have, this store called Abercrombie and Fitch, and clearly, if you look at this, the picture over here, I guarantee you can tell that it is not a store for people my age. So I walk in front of Abercrombie and Fitch, and I say, this is a store that sells clothing items, and why is this guy not wearing a shirt? Okay, and clearly maybe my sons can go into this store, but I'm not even going into this store because I don't think I'm going to find anything that will look good on somebody my age. So that's the thing, right? And then you go to another store, which is, the lighting. You see, there's much light, so I guess sometimes the darker it is, the more attractive the ambience is, and of course they use different types of scents to give it a feel that it's a very masculine type of a store versus feminine type of a store. And of course, in those types of stores, I can't even tell if this is a man or a woman, but somebody who's not standing straight. That much I can tell. All right. So, but that's a part of their decision as to how they're going to project that particular store. Okay, here's an Apple store. Everything basically laid out on this table format, and you go and you try things out, and you handle products and so on and so forth. And then you have Louis Vuitton from the outside. You cannot tell much. There's some certain displays over here. They don't even give you the prices because more people are likely to faint if they saw those prices. So you have to go in, and sometimes there's a back room where rich people go make appointment and they buy their fancy stuff. So that's the getup that they have chosen to go with. Okay, retailing position and image. Questions? Aniza?
Sir, I'm wondering about the slide before about the merchandise line, about those breadth of the line and the depth of the line. So, as you have said, so for the breadth of the line, is that those the specialty stores?
No, Depth of the line would be specialty stores because they carry one product, two products, and in a lot of depth. So you're
Okay,
from Mymensingh, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's say there is a store in your neighborhood, for example, small store, or in the local strip mall that basically sells cell phone cases and
Okay,
only
sir.
cell phone cases. And you go to
Yeah.
that store and they have like hundreds of cases, maybe 1,000 cases for all different makes and models of phones, all kinds of designs, all kinds of price range. Okay. But what we are looking at is one product category, cell phone cases and cell phone cases only. So the length, it's a very deep line of products they carry. But you go to your, let's say, the mall, and there's a big store and department store. They also sell cell phone cases, but maybe 2-3 different varieties and like 2-3 different, I guess, styles in each of those varieties. But they sell all other kinds of things. So breadth of the line means how many different types of products they carry, and depth of the line is how many of a certain type of product or maybe another type of product they carry.
Okay, I got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so you go to a sari shop, for example, and they carry all kinds of saris, but only saris.
Yeah.
You go to another store that carries some saris, but they carry jeans, tops, shoes.
Yeah, a general clothing store. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of things. So that's the thing.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, did anybody else raise his or her hand? Okay. So when we talk about positioning, we usually develop what's known as a retail positioning matrix. So in the positioning matrix, we position retail outlets on two dimensions. And, Anisa, we're back to breadth of the product line. That is how many different products they carry and how much value they add for the customers. And this is a very subjective thing, okay? How much value they add for the consumers. You with me?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So let's Anisa, let's talk about a restaurant. Let's say you have your neighborhood restaurant where they serve, a variety of dishes. Let's say it's a Thai restaurant and they serve a variety of dishes, but then, it's a very, very simple kind of restaurant. I mean, there's nothing fancy there. Wooden chairs and tables, no light, no decor. Okay. That's one type of a restaurant, right? So the breadth of the product line, all kinds of Thai food, but not much value added. You just go eat, go home. But then you go to a fancy restaurant, a Thai restaurant, it's the same type of menu items that they sell. You with me?
Yes, sir.
But the ambience is absolutely fabulous. The lighting, the music, the scent, the decor. So it's adding a value. You feel good. So you might go to those places on special occasions, for example, as opposed to your neighborhood restaurant. Okay. So those are decisions that restaurants also have to make. All right. So the retail positioning matrix positions retail outlets on two dimensions: breadth of the product line and value added. So the breadth of the product line, here's the definition, is the range of products sold through each outlet. So when you look at a restaurant, it's like how big the menu is, how many different items they sell. Okay, so there are certain Chinese restaurants in the US, they take pride on, like they have these lunch buffet and they'll say we have 150 different items. Now, how you can eat all those items and survive, I don't know. But, like I say, in my younger days, I used to eat a lot, but as I've aged, I don't eat as much. So maybe it's a very good attraction for younger folks. But then there are some Chinese restaurants that will only sell, let's say, various types of dumplings, which are called momos in our part of the world. Okay, so breadth of the product line is the range of products sold through each outlet. And value added includes elements such as location, fancy location, product reliability or service reliability, and or prestige. Okay, so here we have an example. Okay, so retail positioning matrix, breadth of the product line, broad versus narrow, and then value added, low versus high. So, Walmart, for example, sells all kinds of products, but it doesn't add much value. When you go shop at Walmart or a place like Walmart, do you feel good about yourself? Do you feel like feel proud shopping at Walmart? Do you feel neighbors will envy you because you shop at Walmart? The answer is no. Sometimes you hide and walk into Walmart, get your cheap stuff and run to the car so that you make sure that nobody sees you from your neighborhood. Okay? So they sell all kinds of things, but there is not much value added. You go to Macy's, for example, they sell a lot of stuff. This is a department store, and they add a lot of value. So if you go to the men's section at Macy's, okay, they also sell Polo, Ralph Lauren products, and it's a separate store in a lot of Macy's. But if you go to the men's section, actually they add a lot of value. This guy will come, basically, or the lady will come and suggest what you should be wearing and look at the fittings and all these things. And if to alter, they come and make those marks and send it to the tailor, and they help you choose, for example, the shoes or the belts or the shirts or the ties that will go with, let's say, the suit or the suit setting, and so on and so forth. Okay. And one thing I've learned is, kids don't listen to their parents, and that includes you. If your parents tell you something, you're not going to listen to them. Guaranteed. So my younger son is a very, very, fashionable man. So he knows what he's doing. So I don't know much. But my older son is, when it comes to fashion, he's sort of not quite there. Okay. So when he was getting ready for some interviews, we went to Macy's to get him suits. And, so I knew very well that, if I told him that your pants would be this of this length, this long, that he wouldn't listen to me, because to him style is very different. It has to kind of sit kind of low on the waist, okay, and then you have basically the pant which is too long. It's basically folded near the feet, okay. So I didn't tell him anything. There's this African American gentleman. I think he's older than me. So I kind of looked at him and I said, would you please help him figure out what is a good fit or not? And he told him that, for formal pants, this is where it should be sitting on your waist. This is how long it should be. It should be like, maybe half a fold when it touches your shoes, etc., etc. And he completely, fully listened to this gentleman. If I had told him those things, he wouldn't have listened to me, guaranteed. I used to be like that when I was young. You guys are like that, okay, at this age. That is how we are. My mind was like that with his dad, I guarantee you. So we listen to other folks. Anyways, so a lot of service, a lot of value added. So for me, it added a tremendous amount of value because my son looked good in that suit. Yeah, okay. Well, not so much in genes. It's basically a function of how old we are. Because at a young age, we think, we know everything. Our parents are too old and stupid. So that's that. Okay, so let's move forward and let's see what we have over here. This is a dollar store where there's absolutely no value added whatsoever. They carry certain products. And then you have Tiffany's. And Sandra should know this. This is a jewelry store. To get married, you go there and you basically, there's a lot of value. And this big diamond ring that Sandra is wearing, it's like, hey, this is from Tiffany's, kind of feeling that you have when you wear those types of products. Questions? Okay, let's move forward and let's look at the next few slides. So retailing strategy. Location is extremely important in retailing. Extremely, extremely, extremely important. So you can go with the central business district, regional shopping centers, neighborhood shopping centers, whatever it is. Convenience is a key ingredient to success. Convenience is a key ingredient to success. I taught this Subway that we have close to home, which is close to the closest restaurant or fast food place to my place, but I don't go there because it's not convenient to go there. It's a headache to go in and go out of that place. Going in is okay, but coming out is a headache. So please remember that thing. All right, let's move forward. Retailing strategy still continuing. So we have to think in terms of how exactly we want to communicate with our customers. So are we going to do any personal selling at all? So Macy's, for example, uses personal selling in certain sections in the store, like men's shoes, men's suits, for example. Women's, I have no idea. All right, but men's, I know what they do over there. They get commission as salespeople. They have to decide on what kind of ads they're going to run and where, and they have to think in terms of displays, windows, internal, that ad that we saw, or the store that we saw where I said I don't go in because it's a clothing store, but there's a guy, his picture wearing nothing, basically no shirt. So those are displays that to decide on. Okay. And then we have this thing about goods and service mix, what they're going to carry, what kind of variety and assortment, what kind of credit they're going to give, price, guarantees and exchanges. Parking is and is an extremely important issue in terms of retailing and retail outlets success. Okay, so when it comes to credit, for example, let me give you a quick example and then we'll move forward. So a couple of months ago, we had work done in our house. So there is the pantry in the kitchen where you keep all your groceries and stuff like that, basically canned foods, PANTRY. Okay, so we had it reconstructed, if you will, shelves and stuff like that. And then the master closet upstairs, we had the closet also done. So we had it done by this company called Closets by Design. So the credit options they were giving, basically price, let's talk about price. They were giving a 40% discount, which they always do, so I don't quite believe that in that discount. But they were giving an additional 15% discount. So they had to decide on that. Now they're only giving the 40% discount, not the 15% discount. Then what they were saying is, well, if you get it done now, we are going to do 24 months interest-free credit. Okay, so essentially, I'm paying for the work done over the 24 months without any interest or with zero interest. So they often change it to 18 months. They often change it to 12 months, and sometimes they don't give that credit. So I lucked out, I got this credit, but the decisions that they have to make. Questions? All right, so let's move forward and let's look at what else we have. This is a very, very, very important slide, this one particularly, and next one to some extent. It's called the Wheel of Retailing. The Wheel of Retailing, what is it? It explains the birth, or the beginning, and the eventual demise, the end of retailing institutions, how they evolve over time. Okay, so they come out as, initially they're born as, or they evolve as the innovative retailer. It used to be that they charge a low price. This is how the department stores came up. The discount stores happened, for example, minimal service and limited product offerings. Over time, and this is of course how it has happened in the US, you become the traditional retailer, where you have elaborate facilities, the old days Sears, for example, Macy's, extended product offerings as opposed to limited product offerings, and then you offer more service. Finally, you are happy with the profit that you're making, so you become top heavy, too many in the management level. You become very conservative. You don't want to change a whole lot of stuff. And now you begin to see declining return on investment. And as a result of which, basically, you might eventually go out of business, as it happened with Kmart, as it is happening as we speak with Sears, as it is happening as we speak with JCPenney. See, in this Western part of the world, if you want to survive in retailing, you have to change, you have to evolve, you have to constantly improve. Because stores, if you keep them the same way, they're kind of dated, they look like tired, and people will not go and shop in these places. So you have to kind of renovate these stores, relight these stores, and make it exciting for people to come in and shop at these places. Questions? Okay, do you have this slide? Okay, so basically, just study these slides. Okay, here we have like the product life cycle. We have the retailers, retail life cycle. So early growth, accelerated development, maturity, and decline. And what we are talking about this thing. Okay, various stages and what happens in these various stages. Now, please, for the exam, you don't have to memorize every single line over here. Okay, don't sit in front of your slide and go like this and start to memorize like we often do, kind of swing back and forth. Don't, just understand what is happening, in these stages, and life will be okay. Questions? Any retailing story that you would like to share? It's so difficult to memorize these things. See, if only these things, for me, it's difficult to memorize anything. Sometimes I even forget my son's name. So I say, who are you? Put a name as John. I'm just kidding. If you tell that to them, I'll be in deep trouble. But I do kind of, I get confused, on the phone, with their voices. I'll talk to my younger son as if I'm talking to my elder son and say, Dad, I'm not him.
Hello.
So,
Hello.
yeah.
Yeah, Darius on the line. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're trying to talk about remodeling the retailing shop and the outlets, and
Yeah.
oftentimes that's one thing that keeps retailers in market and in good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just going to like share a personal experience, right?
Uh-huh.
Like my mom has a retail shop.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What shop is this?
Well, she I don't know how to put that because I really can't classify whether she's an wholesaler, whether she's
Uh-huh.
wholesaler or a retailer, right? So, but basically, she's partnered with companies like Coca-Cola company, Pepsi,
Mm-hmm.
like a cereal company. So she buys from them in bulk. Like
Mm-hmm.
she has an account with them, and she
Mm-hmm.
buys from them in bulk. So basically, she has to sell to other people who also wants to buy in bulk. So
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes, okay, at some point I went there and I told her to kind of make some modifications to the outlook or the way the old like the image of the shop, like the way people
Mm-hmm.
see the shop from afar. I was like trying to suggest making some form of modifications to the general outlook, and I mean somehow it came out positive. A lot of people like got attracted to the place, just
Mm-hmm.
by a little bit of modification that she did, and I kind of relate with what you just said just now. So it's just
Yeah.
a
So
form of
did she listen to you?
yes, she did. She did actually. I actually did not know. I just suggested, just from my
Mm-hmm.
own perspective. That was before taking this course. I just suggested,
Yeah,
making some
because
changes.
I'm happy that it came to you kind of naturally because in certain parts of the world a lot of tremendous emphasis is put on aesthetics. In certain part of the world, absolutely zero emphasis is put on aesthetics. I mean, there's no changes, nothing. It's the way it is for the last 150 years, and and it kind of surprises me actually. But things are changing. Things are changing in other parts of the world. I guess if it looks good, people are attracted to that place. So there's the negative side is in certain parts of the world they think, oh, this must be an expensive place, and that might not be the case. Because in India, for example, when first malls came and we had the huge air conditioned spaces, some of my friends would say, oh no, that's like we call it air conditioned price. You get the same thing on the sidewalk for a lower price and all these things. It's a mindset thing. Over time, it'll change.
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, personally, it happens to me too. Sometimes if I want to buy something and I find the store too attractive, I may want to think that, oh, okay, this might come at an expensive price as compared
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
local
We
sellers.
do make those kinds of judgments. I mean, it happens to me sometimes. When I go to these fancy malls, I take a peek inside, and if I see that the salespeople are better dressed than I am, then I don't go in. So that's my signal. So that's what it is. So. And sometimes, though, it's interesting, I will go to these places intentionally underdressed. Like, when I go to buy cars and I just want to see how I'm treated. When we talk about
Yeah,
personal selling, these things will come up. It's very, very, very interesting as to how they interact with you based on what car you drive to the dealership, what you're wearing. The first thing that they look at in the car dealership when you walk in,
they want to see how dressed you are. They want to see whether you have enough. You're making enough money, or if you can pay for
they
a
want to
higher.
figure that out. But what do they see first?
Yeah, I mean, the appearance, the way you, I mean, the way you're
They
wearing.
will look at your shoes. I'm serious. And oftentimes a lot of us ignore our shoes. If you are wearing fancy shoes or shoes that are taken good care of, shiny shoes, they know that you basically have it in you for fancy, fancy taste, fancy stuff. You'll see people wearing good clothes, but the shoes are worn out, not polished.
All right. So maybe in the part of the world that you are, like shoes are like, you know, most attractive things to people. So.
No, my shoes, I mean, it's important. Yeah, it's in this part of the world. But, even in Nigeria, I don't think you go to an auto dealership bare feet.
No, not barefoot.
Or wearing
Like,
the beach sandals, usually. If you're not like super rich or a movie star, then you can do whatever you want.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So what else? I have 2 minutes. So I don't think I should get started. You guys don't have these 2 slides. It's the next set of slides promotion. What I'm trying to do over here is, I don't know if you know this, but the bridge that connects Detroit with Windsor, it's called the Ambassador Bridge. That's the only privately owned international crossing bridge in the world. And it's owned by this guy, Matt Maroon, who's a billionaire, and he holds a monopoly. So I guess, my question, the reason I'm giving you this sort of example is, my question was, this is pure monopoly, and should they advertise at all? And most people say, no, it's pure monopoly. Why advertise a bridge or anything related to the bridge? Don't waste your money. But the answer is not that easy. Okay, the answer is not that easy. It's basically, you need to consider environmental factors. We talked about this before. So what environmental factors are we talking about? Okay, so right now a second bridge is in the process of being constructed. So Matt Maroon's company, tried to kind of stop or prevent that bridge from being constructed. That would be owned by the government. So they were running ads to say, don't need a new bridge because traffic volume is not enough. Nobody cared. Nobody cared about that because, if you have crossed that bridge to go to Canada, you know how bad at times the traffic can be. And that bridge is, worn out. It's kind of dated. And actually, the COVID, one of the positive impact of COVID is that they're not fixing that bridge because there's not much traffic. So when they realized that people were not quite listening to their ads, the ads were not being effective, essentially they started to run different types of ads. They started to say, state money should be spent on maintaining and repairing existing roads and bridges. Michigan roads are in terrible shape because of the bad winter over here. Okay, so they said state money, taxpayers' money should go into those kinds of things, rather than building a bridge, a fancy-looking bridge. Okay, that found some traction amongst the taxpayers, but not enough, I guess, to stop the new bridge from being built. So we are into, and give me just 1 minute, into promotion. Now we are looking at the third P of the marketing mix. So we will, over the next couple of days, talk about promotion. First, we'll talk about promotion in general. Then we'll talk about advertising. Then we'll talk about sales promotion and personal selling. So, and then after that, we will get into pricing. So we're behind significantly. So let's see how we can navigate through these chapters or through these sections. But that's where we are at right now. This is where we're going to end, and actually this is where we are going to begin next time when we meet, which is next Tuesday. We'll start to talk about promotion, and then we'll talk about something called integrated communications program. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If you don't have any questions, that is it for today.